Everyone promised to stop the storm. The storm didn't listen. This is what happened every time someone swore they'd shut Khamzat Chimaev down, and why those promises kept breaking the same way. We're not chasing highlights. We're tracking choices. How the first minute decides the room and how the survivors try to change the story later. Moving a fight from maybe to mine starts before anyone lands clean. It starts with geography and pace. If you can decide where the exchange happens and when it happens, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be first. Chimaev's rise is a study in choosing the room early, then making opponents live there until their best ideas arrive late and tired. Gerald Meerschaert said experience would slow the hype. He had triple the pro rounds, veteran tricks, and a grappler's instinct to turn chaos into a clinch. Chimaev treated the opening like sudden death. No feel-out, one red, one shot. Meerschaert's feet were still exploring the distance when the overhand erased the exploration. 17 seconds later, the test was over, not because Gerald was reckless, but because he never got to ask his first question. The lesson is cruel and simple. If the storm lands first, there is no second question. Jingliang vowed to expose the aura. What he got wasn't power for power's sake, it was relocation. Chimaev didn't just finish a takedown, he lifted, walked, and talked while walking. That sequence matters, not as a meme, but as a message. When a fighter carries you across the floor and deposits you where he wants, he's cashing two checks at once: control on the scorecards and doubt in your head. When you finally stand, you're not just fighting a person. You're fighting the story of what already happened to you. And the story says, I decide where this takes place. Gilbert Burns brought a different answer. He didn't promise to expose hype. He promised a fight, and delivered. Burns is one of the few who forced Chimaev to switch from bully to boxer. In the pocket, where quick eyes and short power live, Gilbert refused to be a prop. He threw back, traded stubbornly, and made Chimaev reconsider the idea that pressure alone solves everything. The night turned on tools. When the first plan stalled, Chimaev chose the jab, checked his stance, and accepted a pace where discipline mattered more than domination. That's an important graduation. Anyone looks unstoppable when the opponent drowns. Not everyone keeps scoring when the water fights back. Burns also exposed the cost of the storm. Pushing a perfect first minute taxes even elite lungs if the next 14 don't collapse on command. In round-by-round reality, winning isn't just sending a message. It's managing a budget. Chimaev spent heavy early, then learned to spend smarter. Touch with the jab, pick entries, hunt the fence when the pocket got too honest. It wasn't an easy night, and that's why it was valuable. It taught him that violence needs bookkeeping. Kevin Holland arrived with a different chaos. He lives in scrambles, jokes under pressure, and thrives when a fight forgets its rules. Chimaev didn't argue with that energy. He ignored it. Straight to the legs, straight to control, straight to the finish. To beat chaos, you don't need louder chaos. You need basics your opponent can't bend. Clean entries, wrist rides that kill posts, pressure that demands a perfect escape and offers no breath for one. Holland is slick and unorthodox, but unorthodox becomes fragile when it has to solve fundamental positions under real time and real squeeze. Then came Kamaru Usman, a short-notice opponent built like a problem set. Champions make you prove choices across rounds, not seconds. Round 1 showed the familiar script. Chimaev banked minutes with fence rides, mat returns, and top time. That bank matters. Judges remember accumulation. But when the pace changed, Usman asked the question no one loves. What do you do when the door that opened every other fight refuses to open on the 4th attempt? Usman found jabs that interrupted entries. He stuffed more shots. He made Chimaev win exchanges with hands and footwork instead of position alone. The difference between control and dominance became a conversation. Dominance is the feeling the audience has when someone's will is being imposed. Control is the reality the judges track when one fighter decides location and posture even without huge visible damage. In this bout, both ideas showed up. Chimaev won the early geography. Usman claimed stretches of late honesty, measuring jabs, cleaner reads, composure. The result was close because the map was shared. Chimaev's banked time still counted. Usman's late clarity made the total uncomfortable. If you survive the opening, you can slow the weather, but you still need a way to win the map. Across all these promises, a pattern holds. When Chimaev chooses the room in the first minute, the night trends toward him. When opponents reach that second minute with posture, they finally get to ask their questions. Meerschaert never got there. Lee did, briefly, but the message had already set the rules. Burns dragged the fight into a place where craft mattered, and he forced upgrades. Holland's weirdness met fundamentals and folded. Usman arrived with enough championship memory to test the blueprint in round 2 and round 3, where small edges compound. There's a psychological current under all of it. The carry against Lee wasn't just domination, it was conversation. The quick finish against Meerschaert wasn't just violence, it was timing against uncertainty. The overhand works because the target is still downloading. The walk and talk works because the target is listening. When opponents believe the room belongs to the other man, they start fighting like renters, accepting corners they would normally turn down, posting a hand when they should build a frame, taking the half guard that feels safe instead of the scramble that feels scary. That's the quiet tax of aura. It doesn't beat you. It convinces you to choose the option it can beat. But aura is fragile against the prepared. Prepared isn't louder trash talk or a bigger entrance. Prepared is a plan for the first minute that doesn't require permission. It's a stance that denies easy level changes, a jab that measures before it threatens, a willingness to concede the fence briefly if the exit is guaranteed. It's banking your own minutes when you can, not to impress the crowd, but to build an argument the judges can't ignore. Control counts. So does the feeling of the fight. The best win both. What makes Chimaev dangerous isn't just power or wrestling. It's the way power amplifies when his wrestling chooses the stage, and the way wrestling grows heavier when his power forces rushed decisions. He stacks small advantages quickly. Distance he didn't have to negotiate. Posture he didn't have to earn twice. Breath he didn't have to spend. Opponents who slow him do it by refusing the first trade, making him show 2 layers of the plan, turning the night into hands, heart, and habits instead of aura and momentum. Someone will bring all 3. They'll have the map to keep the door closed in minute 1, the wall to make the pocket honest when the entries keep coming, and the lungs to carry those choices into the places where judges stop rewarding control and start rewarding clarity. That's not prediction. That's the arithmetic of this sport. Everyone is solvable over enough minutes. The question is whether you can earn those minutes without paying too much for them in the first 60 seconds. Until then, the room belongs to Khamzat. Not because others didn't try, but because he keeps choosing the room before they choose their tools. If you want to stop the storm, don't make a promise. Make a first minute that doesn't ask permission. Build exits before you need them. Spend wisely when the pace spikes. And when the crowd begs for chaos, answer with craft. Violence wins moments. Craft wins the map. This is Fight Caviar. Calm, cold MMA stories every week. Who bends the room better right now? Khamzat, Islam Makhachev, or Jon Jones? Tell me who you think solves minute one, and why.